Beginning of September for the whites, Pinot Grigio, Riesling. Who has Riesling right now? Yeah, Riesling is the #1 grape actually in Canada. Yeah, it's well grown in Canada. Chardonnay is okay grown in Canada. Pinot Grigio is very hard in Canada. But the #1 grape sold in the world is, in whites, is what, everybody? Who drinks wine on a regular basis? Oh my God, none of you do. Pinot Grigio. Pinot Grigio is #1 in the world. It's sold in the world. Second is a Sauvignon Blanc, by the way. Third is what? Rum? So anyways, we usually pick that around probably in September. So every year in St. Catharines, we have a festival called the Grape and Wine Festival. And that's usually the last 2 weekends of September, and it's amazing festival, and that's when you see all the farmers pick all the grapes and everything. Here we have close to about 10 acres of wine. You can also see from a far distance, but we're going to walk further out, you're going to see some windmills. And what the windmills do is they actually help us conserve the heat, because usually around October, November, we lose heat because the temperature will drop. Like, what was the temperature this morning? 12. It was 13 for you guys? So it was 12. So if it ever gets down to about even 6, those windmills start to work and keeps the heat down. So years ago, they used to use the helicopters to conserve the wind, to keep the heat down so we could keep it sealed for the vines. The vines are usually vines can live for more than 200-300 years. In Canada, we're still new to making wines here, so it's about probably 50 years old now, right? In Italy, 400 years, right? Pardon me? It does, yes. So usually when a vine is planted, it takes about 5-6 years before we can pick. Yeah, and then even still, weather-wise is very important too. If we got a good heat, our grapes for the reds will be excellent. Our Chardonnays will be excellent. But Riesling, not as much. Pinot Noirs, not as much. Pinot Noirs is the most delicate grape out of all the reds. It's a very soft grape. It needs usually humidity and moisture. So a lot of Pinot Noirs are usually best grown in Oregon State and New Zealand, right? Here in Canada, we have a lot of humidity, so our Pinot Noirs do very well. But this year was not so great because every day it rains. It kept raining, then the sun, then rain, then sun. We'll find out probably by the middle of September, we'll find out what's going on. Some winemakers have said a lot of the grapes are growing mold, and that's not good. So when that happens, it makes the grapes rotten, and it's not good. The sugar content isn't well as well for that. So usually they'll pick it. They got to hand pick it and go through it and see where it goes from there. Oh, we got lots of ice wine, man. We'll talk about that. Ice, baby. Follow me. So you could see that every row, there's flowers for every row. There's one here. Every row should always have flowers. And the reason why we do that, if the flowers die, this vineyard, this row is no good. Yeah, so that's why they usually have the flowers there. Yeah, so a lot of people will say, why is there flowers at every row? And that's usually because either the flies got to it, birds, you might hear banging, bird banging, like pow, pow. That's a bird banger just to get rid of the birds, right? Then you could see over there, there's a windmill over there. If you could see that over there? That's what keeps the heat once it drops. And then to answer your wine, who asked me about ice wine again? Put your hand up. Don't be shy, man. Put it up. You know. So ice wine. The ice wine that we use all kinds of grapes for ice wine. The most expensive one is Cabernet Sauvignon. Our Cab Sauv is going for about $100, which is a 375 milliliter. Yes. Ice wine is so expensive. It's so expensive is because usually after midnight, you have to pick the grapes by hand at -8 Celsius. Right? So we usually bring the people from the islands up here and we pick it. Oh, they love it, man. I'm joking. So, no, seriously, but at -8 Celsius is when we pick it. After about the first and the second -8 Celsius, we don't pick it. It's the third at -8. If it's usually the first, the sugar levels won't be that high. The second, the sugar levels are getting there, but it's still not high. So usually after the third -8, that's when we can pick it. That's why we're considered the best ice wine in the world. Here,
not just the city, the world.
Here at Reif. We've won consecutive best wine of the year for ice wine. So we make Vidal, which is what we make most of our money on. And of course we have Riesling and then Cab Sauv. And the Cab Sauv, like I said, is very expensive, so we don't make a lot of that one. But the Vidal ice wine is what we make most of our money on. I don't know, I'm not an ice wine person. It's too sweet for me. Anybody who likes, put your hands up. Okay, for the ones who put your hands up if you like ice wine. Keep your hands up. For the ones who have ice wine, like ice wine, tell me you don't drink too. You don't drink. The ones who don't drink with ice wine, put your hands up too. You don't drink alcohol, but you like ice wine. There's a lot of people like that. Yes, so a lot of people tend to like ice wine, but they don't drink alcohol at all because they don't taste the alcohol. That's right. Trust me, I know. My mother's one of them. So every time she sees me, she always asks me to bring a bottle. And I said to her, why? You don't drink. She goes, well, I don't taste it. Right. And I've noticed that because I have another friend of mine who doesn't drink alcohol. He asks for it too. He just wants to drink the ice wine. Then he can feel like he's drinking with people. Yeah. So ice wine has a residual of sugar about almost 20 to 25 grams. The normal grams of wines in sugar in your wines usually is about 5 to 10. Okay? Now, is that natural? It is all natural. So that is all natural, so that's okay. But when it's added on, it's not so good. You know? And then basically if it is added, I wouldn't even consider that ice wine. You know, that's cheating. You know? So we'll go for a little walk further up here. All right, I got everybody here. So as you can see, this is the whole of our vineyard over here. Actually, if you go further all the way out, that's us. Over there as well, and further to the right. I can only show you so much. Now, if we need grapes and we don't have enough grapes, we can buy from another farmer, right? We are the second oldest winery in Niagara on the Lake. The oldest winery is, I'll let you guys guess it. That's right, Inniskillen. Inniskillen is right next door to us there. So there's just up the road over there. And it's 10 acres, so much. Way over there to where the road is, we also have other acres as well, but you can't see from here. Yeah, and then like I said, whatever we need, we get it from other farmers. We produce about 75,000 cases a year. We make Pinot Grigio, Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot, Chardonnay. Does everybody know this one? Gewürztraminer. German, yes. But believe it or not, it's actually an Italian grape. But the Germans took it on as their own. Then you also have Pinot Noir we make. We make Chenin Blanc. Heard of Chenin Blanc? Sauvignon Blanc and Chenin Blanc are similar. Chenin Blanc is similar. That's how I explain a Chenin Blanc. It tastes like a Chardonnay at the beginning, and it finishes like a Sauvignon Blanc in the end. That's the only way I could explain it.
Did Reif's family bring a lot of over from Germany?
They did, yes. Yeah, they brought a lot of them over, planted it. The first one was, as you could see, was Inniskillen, was the first to bring the wines over. And so the Inniskillen, the owner of Inniskillen, and Klaus's uncle Ewald were best friends. And the guy from Inniskillen, he's Austrian, and of course, as you notice, Klaus is German. And they became good, you know, they told him to come down from Germany, bought this land, and then he brought Klaus over to start producing all the wines here. And then Klaus brought in his sidekick, which is Roberto, who's now our winemaker, who's Italian. And he did a lot of the wines Italian style. You were asking me a question, which was a good question. He was asking to bring up the sugar levels of some of the wines, if we could do that. And that's like drying the grapes out, which also builds in sugar level, which is like a pestamento style, like the Amarone. Am I clear with that with everybody? We good? Does everybody know that? Okay, pestamento style is basically you take the grapes, you dry it for a long period of time, and then you crush it. When you dry it in the sun, the sugar seals in like a raisin, right? And so but we don't dry it up too much because we also want to keep the juices. And when we keep that juices, the alcohol level rises as well as the sugar level. That is what we do. We have the kilns. If you could see the kilns right over there, if you guys can see that. The tobacco kilns, as you know, nobody's really making cigarettes anymore, so we bought the tobacco. And we use the kilns to dry the grapes because in Italy, we don't have the weather to dry the grapes. And if I lost anybody, please put your hands up with what I'm explaining. Everybody's understanding? Yes?
I understand, but is that noise that we're hearing, is that a bird?
Oh, that's a bangers. That's a bird bangers, yeah. So the closest we got to doing a port is the Vinay. And the Vinay is a Cabernet Sauvignon, but it's still not port. It's still not a port as much, but it's sweet. It is a nice one too, but what we use that for is we blend it a lot. Yeah. So, but back to what I was saying about the pestamento style. The way I could explain it, it's like sun-dried tomato. We all same page with sun-dried tomato? Sun-dried tomato, you dry it out and it dries out like that and it gets sweet. Same with the grapes. But with that, we make it with our Magician. We have a wine called the Magician, and that's Pinot Noir and Shiraz blend. And that's the alcohol content on that is about 15%. The highest content for wine, we cannot go past 16%. If we do go past it, it's not considered a wine anymore. So the highest grape that makes a very strong alcohol is Zinfandel, which is usually used to make rosés because it's so high on alcohol. And Primitivo, does everybody know what the Primitivo is? Primitivo and Zinfandel, same grape. Primitivo is in Italy, Zinfandel is in the United States. That's all it is. Shiraz, Syrah. Pinot Gris, Pinot Grigio. Same grape. All right? So Champagne, Cava, Sparkling, same thing. Spain, Prosecco, Italy, Champagne, France, and then Sparkling's here in Canada. All right? Make sense? Right. The reason why everybody has their own name is because different countries. We have the trademark of ice wine. No other country in the world can call our wine ice wine but us. Even though it was discovered in Italy, we took it on as our trademark because we have the extensive cold weather every year to making it. Germany, they don't have it all the time, so it's hard for them to always make ice wine. Actually, this year we almost missed out because the weather was so warm. So we finally made it. We made it by the middle of February is when we finally picked ice wine. So we're gonna go for a little walk in here. Check inside. Mr. Rum, you could stay outside. Where is he? Where's Mr. Rum? So these are tanks, stainless steel tanks. This is the machine. The machine behind you is basically a cleaner. So when you pick the grapes, we keep the skin contact on, The reason why we keep it on is so it gives it more body, more flavors too. Then after we do that, it goes through the machine and it cleans it, clears it out. So you get that clarity so you don't get any crystals. You won't get crystals, you won't get some sediments as well. It's basically just keeping the sauce, it's like keeping the sauce clean, but it's the wine. And then from there on, we bottle it, and then we let it basically sit in the bottle for at least 3 months before we sell it. Why is that? I'll let you guys answer a little bit more. Not just that, fermentation is one, and then on top of it, it's because bottle shock. If you open a wine right away, it's gonna be not so good, and you're gonna say, this ain't good. Well, you gotta give it time. You need time to rest and everything. Usually, it takes us about probably 1.5 years to make a bottle of wine. The stainless steel ones, when we do it in stainless steel, that takes maybe 8 to 12 months. That's it, depending on how good the vintage was. The best year ever for Canada was 2020, when we were all locked up. It's the truth. No, it's the truth. It's honest God truth. So a lot of our wines are still in barrels of 2020 because we want to really age it nicely. And those wines probably go for about maybe $75 to $100 a bottle. Yeah. So I'm gonna go. We're gonna go inside into the winery there, and you're gonna see all the tanks, because this here, anytime a wine is in a stainless steel, the price tag is lower. The oak barrel is more expensive. Each barrel is going for about, now I think it's $1,500 a barrel. Yeah, it used to be about $400, now it's gone up. So about $1,500 to $2,000 for a barrel. The best barrels are French oak, Hungarian, and then lately a lot of the Canadian winemakers are using US oak because it's cheaper. It's okay, but it's not bad. And we do have Canadian oak, but it's a little bit more expensive because we don't have a lot of wood.
Why are the French and Hungarian oak better?
I think it's the trees, they're more mature, softer, gentle. That's all it is. Like you even, like when you try a Chardonnay, you'll try a French Chardonnay, buttery, smooth, gentle, lots of love. You try an American Chardonnay, it's a bit rough on the palate and the back end too. There's a lot of tannins, right? So, and also a lot of people, who doesn't like a Chardonnay, by the way? Put your hands up. Who doesn't like a Chardonnay? Just the two of you? So a lot of times, Chardonnays get a bad rap because of winemakers. That's all it is. It's like a chef cooking. If he cooks out of a good pot every day, the flavors are good. If he cooks out of a pot that's been around for almost 10 years, and he knows it's not good anymore, and the food's going bad, then you start thinking he's just a bad chef or the food's just bad. Well, that's just like the Chardonnay. A good Chardonnay, when you make a good Chardonnay, you have to buy it from fresh, a brand new oak barrel. And when it's in the fresh oak barrel, it takes 3 to 4 years to make the Chardonnay. And after you do that, the winemakers tend to keep that oak barrel again. And when they keep it again, they use it for another Chardonnay, which you should not. You should use it for a standard Chardonnay, not a fully oaked Chardonnay. Do you understand me here? So you got some Chardonnays that are done in fully oaked, and then you have some other Chardonnays that are done half oak and then finished in stainless steel. And the reason why it does that in the stainless steel at the end is so it softens out the oak, because the oak is going to be bitter because it's been used once for almost 4 years, right? Then the other Chardonnay is just all stainless steel, which is fresh. It's just fruit. You're getting a lot of fruit, not much body. And so usually when you get Chardonnays, the first thing you want to ask, even at the LCBO, is it brand new oak? They might not know, but they can get you that information, all right?
And at the price point, oak barrels.
So that's why Chardonnays are expensive. So a good Chardonnay today, maybe $75 a bottle, 75. For a stainless steel Chardonnay, maybe 15 to 25. And then a partial oak. Partial oak is about, depending on how good it is, it could be 25 to 35. So,
What yeast do you use?
was that?
Natural yeast. What yeast you use to do your fermentation? Natural yeast or specific?
That depends on the winemaker. The winemaker is always using yeast. He has to use it. But where he's getting from, I don't know. Everybody has their own way of doing things, you know? It's just like a chef. Yeah.
And when you guys look at your pipeline, I feel like you have to talk in years just from all of these steps that are involved. Like we're talking months just for.
Well, for example, what was a bad winter? We had a bad winter. What year was that? I think if I go back in years. 18? Yeah. So that winter was so bad. No, cold. Cold. So the reason why I bring that up is so the reason why I bring up cold is because if it's very, very cold and it kills our vines, we pull all the vines out and we have to start all over again. So I'll give you an example. If anybody familiar with Pelee Island? Okay, Pelee Island is in Lake Erie. The whole of their crop got wiped out. It was about 6-7 years ago. They had to pull all their vines out and they had to start all over again. And I felt bad for them because it takes 5 to 6 years to start producing again. So that's exactly what we're talking about. Just to produce it, yeah. And after the first 5 years, it's still not going to be top notch, but it takes time. So.
For those first couple of years, that they just discard the grapes, then, or do the trees don't even bear the fruit?
They don't bear the fruit. Even the first year, you'll get fruit, but it won't be full. It's just like, you can't. It takes. Mm-hmm. The rope? I don't know. That I don't know. Maybe it's been for this here. Who knows? Yeah.
The second question is, has there ever been a case where the vines are grown in a greenhouse where temperature can be regulated?
No, not here. Not here. So, that's right. Did someone say soil? Yeah, the soil, that's why. If we got, I've never seen that, you know, yeah.
Maybe that's where you can make the next $1 million.
No, I wouldn't put it in a greenhouse. I wouldn't put it in a greenhouse. You need the wind. You need the sun. You need the rain too. You need everything. Yeah.
Manufacturing creates
Yeah.
genetically modified.
Yeah. So I'm gonna bring you guys inside here, so just follow me. We'll go this way here. So you see the tanks, right? Downstairs is our barrel room where we store all the wines in the barrel. And then of course there's another machine there to the left. And that machine is exactly what we just saw from the other one, but that one really cleans it. Cleans the wines, makes sure it's sterilized properly, everything. And then we check it. Before we ever put the wines on the shelves at the LCBO, we have to take it to the LCBO and they test it. And that's not just our wines, it's everybody around the world, they test that.
A sample though.
A sample, that's it, yeah. Yeah.
Exactly.
Sometimes I think it's a case. Cheeky devils.
We all need to try it. These bins seem different from the ones on the side.
Same thing,
Yeah.
same thing. These are just bigger. The bins are used to,
Design too, though, right? I don't know. There's a texture to these ones.
no. This one is just older. And this is the newer ones, right? And basically it's cold stabilization, which helps age the wine too as well. Cold stabilization is making sure that the alcohol is circulating through the wine nicely. Because if it doesn't cold stabilize, you'll get cloudiness in your wine. So you don't get clarity anymore. That's mainly for the whites. Yeah, for the reds, not as much. So we're gonna go through another room, and so I won't interrupt her. Go in the next room. Excuse me? Everybody? So as you can see, this is the assembly line of making the wines here. So the tanks you just saw in that room, we usually hook up a long hose and it connects to the back of here. And as you can see right here, this is what's pouring the wines out into the bottles. And it starts, Mr. Say it again? Say it again? He said he'd put the empties here.
Yeah,
That's right. The empty's there, goes through there, all the way through there. Then our labeling station is here. And then from right at the end is when they start putting in the cases. You know? Ice wine is the worst one to do because the ice wine tips. So a lot of times there's 3 guys here making sure it doesn't tip. Because I don't know. I don't know. All I know is ice wine's a pain in the butt to make. Such a pain. Pain in the butt to make. The bottle's so slender, it tips over. You only get 1 drip out of a grape. You got to pick it at midnight. You get frostbite. But who loves ice wine? Oh gosh.
Does this cap the bottles as well?
Does it what?
Cap, cork.
Yes, it does. The cork machine is right here. You can see it right there. The cork is right there, and it hits it.
Nice. Yeah, there's
Right there.
cork in
Yeah,
it
yeah.
right now.
Right in there. Yeah. And then if it's not a cork, it's the screw caps are here. This would be the screw cap one. Yeah.
Is there any person on this assembly line, or is it all
So we got 1, 2,
just 3?
1, 2, 3. There's 3 here. Because once those balls accumulate, they got to put them in the box. So there's 3 people there. And for the label stations, she's there watching to make sure it's done, the labels are done properly. So there's about 7 people here. And then the guys, Sherwin, he's always bringing in all the empty bottles here to get it all set up for here. We can do, this whole line can do close to 6 pallets in a day. Each pallet holds 60 cases. And each case has 12 bottles. So you do the math. That's a lot. The old style would be 1 pallet a day. Yeah. So this machine altogether is $250,000. The whole thing together, $250,000. Yeah. And this is now, we've had this machine now going on 15 years. The guy behind you over there. About time you show up, man. Sherwin, yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. So Sherwin takes care of basically all the inventory of all the wines here. He makes sure that we have the empty bottles, because I was just bringing your name up, and you just show up now. You know? Yeah, yeah. So, and then from there on, like I said, all these wines either here or they go to LCBO. The only thing that we have in the LCBO is Riesling and Cabernet Merlot and ice wine. And then we have some wines in vintages, like the Magician's in vintage. Our Cab Sauv Reserve was in vintage. Yeah, and then Rosé, it's here. It's here, but it was the reason why we don't have a lot of wines in LCBO is because it cost us, well, it's not cost, we lose 60% of our profit.
So you sell most of it here?
We sell most of it here. Yeah, yeah. So my job with the winery here is I'm a wine rep. I'm the wine rep for Reif Winery, and I go to all the restaurants and I sell to all the restaurants. We have myself, there's Steve, there's James, Talia, Bruno. We have 7 wine reps, and we also are now international. So we have international wines too. Export would be only 25% now. Now that Ed came on board, it helped by 25%. Out of Canada. Across Canada, we do not have any other wines but our own wines. We were looking about getting British Columbian wines, but the problem is the province taxes is a pain in the butt.
Actually, I want to ask you about that.
Yeah.
So BC wines are sold here.
Some are sold here, depending on who the agency is. Yeah.
That's a political play there.
Yes, there is a little bit, and same
We
with.
sell our wine.
And we do have some wines ourselves in Quebec, Manitoba, and that's it. That's it. Oh yeah, and Alberta.
What do you think of BC wine?
I think it's the best.
No, so I'm surprised you hear you say that because that's the best. That's the issue, right?
It's the best.
That their wine is
They have the weather.
so superior.
They have the weather.
Right.
They have great soil. They got the dryness.
Right.
But now they got fire. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But the wines are very good. The only thing is that we do better than BC. Our whites are way better. British Columbia can't make ice wine. We're better, and our white wines are better too. BC Chardonnay, outstanding. Chardonnay is very good. Pinot Noirs are very good. All their reds are good, but other than that, the rest of their whites not so good.
Okay. About red and white wine. So is wine not essentially all white?
No.
How the skin is what actually
So you can make a Merlot, and you can make it white, as long as you take the skins off it, and you can make a white Merlot.
But without the skin though, it's white.
Right, but you could, if you do, I have to be honest with the people. It's a Merlot, and they go, "How could it be a Merlot? It's white." Yeah, so you let them know that the reason why it's white is because we took the skin contact, because the skin helps with the color. Yeah. Pinot Grigio, let's use Pinot Grigio for example. Pinot Grigio is a white wine, right? It's actually a pink wine. The skin is pink. So usually what most winemakers do is they keep the skin on longer. The reason why they keep it on longer, like I said before, for more body, more flavor. But the public, all of you as a public, you see a Pinot Grigio, you'll think we're lying to you. You'll say it's a rosé.
So I'm not sure if you answered this already, but what makes it dry or sweeter?
Drier basically is just drier is basically just we pick the grapes if it's early, or we pick it a little bit later, and we also depending on the temperature that year. If it was a hot year, it will be drier. If it was a colder year, it'll be sweeter with more acidity. Yeah, it's like peaches. You know, if the peaches if it's dry, peaches won't be as sweet. If it's got a bit of coolness in it, the peaches are a little bit sweeter. Yeah.
What's your biggest market outside of Canada?
Biggest market outside of Canada for our wines? China was our biggest. But we sell in the US, but China's bigger. I would say the US is bigger now because China is not as busy as it used to be anymore. It used to be really busy in China and Korea. Yeah, Korea too. Yeah, so.
So I make a suggestion. Some people have to leave soon. So
Yeah.
if people have questions, maybe hold them until we're sitting down for lunch. Darren will be there.
We're gonna go out this way now, and we'll go straight to lunch. But we're gonna pass by the retail store if you guys are interested in going in there and checking it out. All right.
Hey Kev, I just went to get the mussels.
It's all cosmetic. It's all cosmetic.